Hi, Annie.
Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. God, May came around fairly quickly, didn't it?
Oh my goodness, and it's almost gone already.
Yeah, I mean, another academic year. I mean, we've been lucky. The kids here went back to school. They began the academic year normal, but lots of countries didn't. And I think homeschooling is something that must be the results or the problems or it must definitely have some kind of impact on how they're going to teach kids from now on, because I don't know, your kids are smaller. What do you think of the way kids are being taught in school nowadays?
Well, I definitely come from the perspective that I hope it is changing a bit. I hope that homeschooling has given teachers and academics alike kind of an insight that maybe it should be a standard part of the curriculum. That is the future that my children are going to be working in. They're not going to be working in a 100% in-person environment. So I do hope that maybe they go towards some kind of skills that are computer-based and not just memorization-based.
Exactly, which is the system that they haven't really changed over the years. As everything is memorized. And do kids actually need to memorize as much? I mean, the problem is it's very old habits die hard.
Yeah.
And even in that, to try and change, it obviously can't be done overnight. But I mean, they say, get your head out of the screen, get your face out of the screen. Our faces are going to be in screens from
for the
now
rest
on.
of their lives.
Exactly. So kids are going to have to adapt, and their brains are going to work in different ways.
Yes, and I really hope that instead of saying get your kids off screens and get your kids off technology, that they start saying we need to teach kids how to do programming.
Yes.
Because that's the future.
Yeah.
I also think that, learning that short period of time that the kids were home and they were able to get online and Skype and FaceTime and Zoom and all these things, they learned valuable lessons because look at us. We're Zooming and we're having to learn it like in a heartbeat, and they're going to have the foundation of it from the time they've been little.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, the work they're going to be doing in the future, the jobs they're going to be doing, they're not going to be face-to-face for everything. They're going to have to be knowledgeable, and they're going to have to know how to use the technology. But also, people say, memorizing was always really, really good because it was good for your brain. It was training your brain. Okay.
Yes.
But surely our brains are going to change the way they work.
Oh, completely. There are other things that I don't think are worth memorizing, and you can still grasp the overall concept of them. For example, like exact dates or exact times when things occurred. Although I think it's really important to know our history in general to get an idea of why we are here, why we are in the conditions we're living in today.
And the names of the rivers?
I don't know if the names of the rivers are that.
Well, there you go. These are things these memorizing things that a lot of time is spent, a lot of class time is spent. And why don't you know the name, all the names of the rivers? But you're only going to learn them for that particular exam, and then you're going to, and one might remain in. I don't know.
I don't know either. And I mean, it's part of it. Like coming from the U.S., like it's very embarrassing that we know so little about like geography.
Well, you're always being criticized for that, aren't you? Americans
totally.
are always being criticized
and
for not knowing.
And it is 100% valid.
No, I think most of my geography I learned traveling, and I learned from maybe in later years, but I don't really remember any of those lists that I had to learn,
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I don't have the right answer to this question. But
well, would you mind leaving the room, please?
Yeah. I should. I'm a teacher. I should have all the answers.
Exactly. Why don't you have the answer? Google it.
Exactly. But what I do think, though, is that things need to be more practical. And it even goes to language learning. Like, I learned Spanish for many years, and when I arrived in Mexico, I knew 1, 2, 3, madre, padre, me llamo Annie.
Yeah.
After years of studying Spanish, that's what I knew.
Well, I actually did a degree in the language, and I didn't tell anybody for years because I was so embarrassed because I didn't know how the language worked. I was talking like Cervantes. I was using this really, really antiquated language that people were just looking at me strangely. But then that's the thing about language learning, isn't it? That textbook learning is okay to give you a base, but the minute it's like you hello, how are you? And then you arrive somewhere in Ireland and go, how's it going?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? You think, that's a different language.
Exactly.
But I mean, then after a
Yeah.
while you get used to it. You know,
And there's something beautiful, like specifically about language learning. There's something really beautiful about the whole process of it, of like going somewhere and learning it, that you know, because you can't speak your mind, you're limited by your vocabulary.
Oh my God, yeah.
So like the educational process of that, I love.
Because you grow as a person, because your personality is built on I don't know the word stereotype, but your personality is built in a certain way because you're protected by your culture and your customs
Totally.
and all the rest. And suddenly you complicate that by not alone a different culture, but you complicate it by a different language. And suddenly, the minute you open your mouth, and you speak in broken Spanish, you suddenly look like an idiot, and you think, I'm not an idiot. I have opinions, and yet you can't express them. And I think it's the most frustrating thing of the language learning
Totally.
process. But then when you get past that, you feel you've grown as a person.
Oh, yeah, it is a growth process. And maybe that's what we're talking about. Like instead of it being some kind of process that you memorize words, you go and you use them and it becomes more practical.
Yes, yeah.
And you change as a person, hence you know those words and vocabulary and their utility.
Yeah.
And somehow we need to bring that to the classroom. And I remember when I went to Mexico and I moved back to Chicago for like a year. And I lived in a Spanish-speaking neighborhood. I worked in a Spanish-speaking agency. And I was like, the first time seeing my city with different eyes.
Of course, yeah.
Because I had never known that there was this whole world that existed in Spanish in my own city.
Yeah.
And I thought, why was I never connected with that?
It's curious, isn't it?
I know, but we
yeah.
have to change the chip on how to teach kids. And ourselves, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what will happen in the next few academic years. I say, well, your kids are younger, so I'm sure they're going to go through some changes, hopefully that we haven't done in decades.
Yeah, I
because
hope so.
I think that the demand is there. I mean, even the mere fact of sitting for 6 hours.
Exactly.
Why should you have to sit for 6 hours? Why? I mean, I always had that problem. My son was the one who used to come up with that. He said, "Why do I have to sit? Why can't I stand up?
Well,
Why can't I walk around the room?"
Exactly.
And you think, well, it's true, because nobody likes sitting without moving for 6 hours.
And in probably majority of the jobs, you will not sit for 6 hours.
Exactly.
So, it's basically a control. No, it's like a way of controlling the children.
Yeah,
and
and
not
workers
really
exactly. But now we are hot desking, and people don't have assigned desks and offices and things like that.
Yeah.
So if that's what the world they're going to work in,
Exactly.
Well, it should begin in school. And I'm not saying kids are going running riot around the classroom. It doesn't have to be that either.
Yeah,
but I mean,
right.
if I'm more energetic than somebody else, why can't I get up and move?
And then go back to your seat.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's difficult, eh? Like I'm positive that it's not easy for teachers, no? But like there has to be some kind of shift in our mentality and the way we teach, no? And I include ourselves.
Exactly.
No,
Passive learning is I think it's gone. I mean, it's
Yeah. There's just no utility to it anymore. I don't think.
Well, we can blame Google for all that, It's like, before the teacher was God, but now Google is God. So, you don't have to ask the teacher, you just Google it. So why would I sit there and listen to somebody tell me about the history of Afghanistan if I can just Google it after class?
Yeah, but see, that doesn't sit right with me either. Well, we should continue this talk. I mean, we started it today, and we'll continue coming back to
maybe
this
even
topic.
hear people's comments, see what they think. People can kind of criticize us. We do accept.
Please,
we are open
enjoy
to
that.
criticism.
Oh yeah, of course, and we can make a whole nother show about it.
Exactly.
So please let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of May, and we'll talk to you in June.
Yes, I'll see if I come up with a June poem.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been a whole month since we've heard a poem.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All the best.
All right.
Bye.